demonstrate how to make a different kind of spout, a pulled spout, which can result in this kind of spout or this kind of spout or many other variations. The advantage of this spout is it's not done on the wheel and it doesn't twist or untwist as it dries and fires. So you start out with a sort of a large thumb-shaped piece of clay and what's called a pulling stick. You can also use, if you don't have access to a friend who's a woodworker, you can also use tapered paint stick handles or the spindles in old chairs, but this is a nice shape to work with. So first of all, you gradually insert the stick up into the clay, rotate it, and then hold the clay down and roll the stick through the clay to widen the opening. And then we'll move over. Why don't you come in closer with the camera?
Yeah, I'm pretty close right now. I'm using the...
All right. And then I'm going to go over to the water and pull it like you pull a handle. So now I'm going to pull the spout on the spout stick, and the first thing I do is wet the spout stick so that it is lubricated. And you're doing like you do when you pull a handle, but in this case you have to keep the inside and the outside moistened for the pulling action. So I'm going to hold the stick and the tip end of the clay at the same time and then start pulling the spout. And I leave this end kind of thicker because later I'll shape it. Keep the inside moist. It'll start to stick after a little while, no pun intended. And as you stretch it, the clay gets a little thinner, but you want to keep this end thick. And go down about 6 or 7 or 8 inches. And then at the end I give it a few extra pulls to kind of taper the spout just a little bit more. And then I'll bring it over to the sponge to lay it down for drying. After stretching the handle or the spout, we'll lay it down on the sponge and proceeding to let it dry. Okay, so this is the spout that we just pulled. This is one I made earlier this morning, and this is what you do once it's dried. Still flexible, not leather hard, and you cut off at an angle to start to form the bulb, and then with your water and your thumb you stretch out the clay and start to form that nice spout bulb. And then just as you lay it down, you can start to bend the spout around, or depending on the teapot you're putting it on, maybe it just goes straight with a little kink at the end. Anyway, this gives you a lot of flexibility. So now I'm going to attach the spout. It has dried somewhat and I've curved it a little bit more precisely to this teapot here. And one of the things I do is I cut it like this so that the cut is sort of tapered toward the inside of the spout. And I find a good place where it'll fit on the teapot. And of course you want the spout to be a little bit above the top of the teapot so that you can fill your teapot. And so I'll score this. And I'll put my holes in here. I've already marked where the spout is going to go. And I'll score the body of the teapot. Typically a spout would be thrown on the wheel, something like this, and and I just prefer this kind of curved form much more than something like this where it would be placed higher. I'd cut this appropriately. This is just my preference. So I'm going to moisten the scored area and attach it here. And I'll cut the excess off. I can sort of look at the teapot, turn it, find the right sort of angle, right attachment. And this is still flexible, so I can bend it, get a little bit closer to the body of the teapot, and get a nice proportion. And since this handle kind of goes up, I want the spout to kind of go up a little bit too. So they sort of talk to each other that way. I think maybe just a touch more off the tip of the spout. And I'll clean up. And what I'm going to do is set this one down and show you one that's similar that I did earlier. That has the spout on it. And what I do on my spouts is I attach a little nub here so that when you pour the teapot, that's where the last drip drips off of. You don't get it running down the side of the spout. This little nub right here. So that's a thrown teapot with a pulled spout on it.